So here we have another multi-step equation, but this one has an extra step that none of the ones before this that we've done, they haven't had this extra step. So notice how now we have 3 variable terms. They're all the same variable, but there's 3 different terms. So there's 2 on this side and 1 on this side. We're actually going to leave this right side alone for now. But what's one thing we can do to this side before we do any of the math that we have done in this module so far? What's one other thing that we can do? Well, combine like terms, right? We have a 5x and a negative 9x. All of last module, you guys learned about combining like terms. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that for this specific equation before we do any other moves with like balancing the equation. So this 12 is gonna stay where it is, so we have 5x minus 9x, which gives us a negative 4x plus 12, right? And now we have an equation that looks exactly like it did last video, right? So that's the first thing I'll tell you guys is if you notice that you can combine like terms before adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, before doing any of that, then go ahead and combine like terms. You always want to do that so you have the most simplest form on each side of the equal sign. So from here, now we have to get the variable terms on the same side. We have a negative 4x, so we could add 4x to both sides. We have a 3x, so we could subtract 3x from both sides. And like I said last video, I don't personally like working with negatives, so I'm going to go ahead and add the 4x to both sides. So these are going to cancel, so we have 12 on the left. 3x plus 4x gives us 7x plus 15, right? So now we have the 7x on one side, but it's not alone. So this 15 we want to get rid of and move to the other side. So it's positive, so we're actually going to subtract 15 from both sides. We have 7x, right, because these cancel, equal a negative 3. So I'm going to move this over here. Okay, so now we have the variable term alone, but now we want to get it to just 1x. So in order to do that, this is multiplication, so we're going to divide by 7. So we have x equals negative 3/7. This is as simple of a fraction as you're going to get in this equation. So our final answer is x equals negative 3/7. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and look at another multi-step equation that is actually going to have the distributive property in it. So let's see. So, right, you've seen this before, not this complex, but you've seen like just this side before, which is the distributive property. So, like the example I just showed you guys how we combine like terms, we just have an extra step in this one too, and it's just using the distributive property. So we're actually going to use that to both sides, but we're going to stay on one side at a time. And in this specific example, what you do in this first step, what you do to the left side, you're not going to do the same thing to the right side. You're going to still apply the distributive property, but not with the same numbers. So right now, this equal sign is just going to stay. We're going to look at the left side and the left side only. So we're going to use the distributive property and multiply 3 by 5x, so we get 15x, and then 3 multiplied by 4, so we get plus 12. This stays, and now we're going to look at the right side alone. So we have 2 times 2x, which gives us 4x, and then we have 2 times a negative, keep in mind that negative, 2 times a negative 5, which gives us minus 10. And look, we are already at an equation that you guys have done before. So it's pretty simple from here. You can either subtract 15x or subtract 4x to get the variable terms on the same side. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 4x in this equation from both sides. So these cancel. We have a negative 10 on the right side. Don't forget that negative. Keep that with that 10. Then we have 15x minus 4x, which gives us 11x plus 12. Now, we want the 11x on the left side alone. And in order to get that alone, we have to subtract 12 from both sides. When we do that, these cancel, so we're left with 11x equals, now you have a negative 10 minus 12, or a negative 10 plus a negative 12. So in this case, you're gonna, it's gonna stay a negative, it's gonna turn to a negative 22, right? So now we have 11x, but we're looking for 1x. So it's multiplied. We're going to divide by 11 on both sides. We're gonna come over here. So this left side, I have x. Then over here we have a negative 22 divided by a positive 11. So we're gonna end up with a negative number, and 22 divided by 11 is what? It's 2. So our final solution is x equals negative 2.